Sayyidah Ma'sooma. I just want to bring your attention to a couple of matters which I raised last year when it came to the same time of the Zahiran. It was the istishhad of Sayyidah Ma'sooma. And that was that there's a very interesting point or matter that is raised in the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, where the Imam says, Inna lillah haramun wa huwa Makkah, wa li rasulihi haramun wa huwa al-Medina, wa li amir al-mu'mineen haramun wa huwa al-Kufa, wa lana haraman wa huwa Qum, satudfanu fiha imra'atun min wuldi tusamma Fatima, man zaraha wajabat lahu al-Jannah. So the Imam alayhi salam, he says that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there is a sanctuary, and that sanctuary is Mecca. وَلِرَسُولِهِ حَرَمًا, and for his Prophet there is a sanctuary, and that sanctuary is Medina. وَلِأَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ حَرَمًا, and Amir al-Mu'mineen has a sanctuary, and that sanctuary is Kufa. وَلَنَا حَرَمًا وَهُوَ Qum, and for us Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam as a total, we have a sanctuary, and that sanctuary is Qum. And within that city of Qum, satudfanu fiha imra'atun min wuldi, from my lineage a woman will be buried there, her name will be Fatima, and whosoever does her ziyarah wajibat lahul Jannah, Jannah becomes wajib upon that individual. Another thing, just before I explain the point that I had made in that lecture, was in another narration we have from the Imam, says, وَإِنَّ قُمَّ الْكُوفَةُ الصَّغِيرَةُ, says, indeed, Qum is the small Kufa. أَلَا إِنَّ لِلْجَنَّةِ ثَمَانِيَةَ أَبْوَابٍ ثلاثة منها إلى قم تقبض فيها امرأة من ولدي اسمها فاطمة بنت موسى. Says, verily Qum is the lesser Kufa. Be aware that paradise has 8 gates, 3 of them open towards the city of Qum. A lady from my descendants named Fatima, daughter of Musa, will pass away there, and through her intercession all of my Shi'as will enter into paradise. Those that haven't been on the ziyarah of Sayyidah Ma'sooma, this is something that, at least on your spiritual journey, is something that you are missing. But the point is that why is it that the 6th Imam says, وَلَنَا حَرَمٌ, that for us Ahlul Bayt we have a haram, and our haram is Qum. That on one side there is the haram of Rasulullah in Medina, the haram of Allah in the Kaaba, the haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Kufa. But then when he says that we Ahlul Bayt as a whole have a haram, he says that is the city of Qum. And the reason for that is, without giving you all of the preamble that I did in that lecture, is that the ziyarah of Fatima al-Ma'sooma is equivalent to the ziyarah of al-Zahra alayha salam. That in the ghaiba, it is not known where the ziyarah of Sayyidah Zahra is, where her grave is. And so there are multiple narrations that say, if you desire to do the ziyarah of Sayyidah Ma'sooma, Sayyidah Zahra, then go to the ziyarah of Ma'sooma in Qum. You will be given the reward of the ziyarah of Fatima Zahra alayha salam. And that's one of the reasons why when you go and you recite the ziyarat nama, again it's ma'thura, it's one of the few ziyarat that is actually written by one of the imams for one of the imamzadeh or for one of the children of an imam. Otherwise, all of the other ziyarat nama that we have are written by non-ma'soom. But when it comes to Abul Fadl al-Abbas, it comes to Sayyidah Ma'sooma, it comes to Ali al-Akbar, these are ziyarat ma'thura that are written by a ma'soom imam for that individual. In that ziyarah, you will see that you begin by sending salam upon all the anbiya. Salamun ala Adam, and salam upon Nuh, salam upon Ibrahim. And then when we address Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we address them in the present. We say, salam be upon you who are present right here, right now. Meaning that the haram of Sayyidah Ma'asuma is the gateway towards the rida, towards the happiness of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Why? For she is the gateway to Zahra alayha salam. And as the sixth Imam says, Nahnu hujjat Allah ala al-khalq, that we are the hujjah of Allah upon all of creation. Wa ummi Fatima hujjat Allah alayna. But our mother Fatima is the proof of Allah over us. And so to reach Ahlul Bayt, the ma'rif of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, one cannot achieve it except through the door of Az-Zahra alayha salam, and you cannot reach the door of Az-Zahra alayha salam except through the door of Fatima Ma'asuma, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ziyarah of Fatima Ma'asuma in the dunya and her shifa'ah in the akhirah. Please recite aloud salawat. So continuing our discussion on the Raj'at, we have previously mentioned the definition of the Raj'at, the philosophy of the Raj'at, how the Raj'at, last week we mentioned how the Raj'at differentiates from reincarnation, and also the purpose of the Raj'at, the purpose of this return. And we left our discussion last week at this point, that just before the zuhur of the Imam Arwahun al-Fida, there is what we could term as Raj'at al-Sughra, a minor Raj'at that occurs, within which 27 individuals will rise from Kufa. Amongst them are Ashab al-Kahf, Salman, Miqdad, Abu Dhar, Malik al-Ashtar. We mentioned the names last week. They will do Raj'at, they will rise from Kufa, and then they will take over Kufa. They will banish all of the evil from Kufa. They will govern Kufa. From Kufa, they will extend their reign over Iraq. Soon after taking control of Iraq, they will begin to make their way towards Mecca to join the 313. Those 27 make up part of the 313 generals of the Imam. They will reach Mecca just in time for the announcement of the Imam alayhi salam, and they will join him and become amongst the wazara, amongst the ministers of the first government of the Imam alayhi salam. And then we said that the Imam will rule for a period of years, anything between 40 to 70, both are mentioned within the narrations. In the final months of his reappearance or of his government, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam will reappear. His Raj'at will occur. He will come out from his grave in Karbala with all of his companions and 70 of the Anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they will come and they will join Imam al-Hujjah. He will stay amongst the people for a number of months until the people gain certainty that this is the Hussein alayhi salam, who they have cried for, who they have mourned for, who they have loved all of their life. The moment they gain that recognition that this is truly Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, the shahadat of the 12th Imam will occur. Upon this recognition of the people. And we mentioned that the Imam, as he's walking through the street, a kafara lady of Bani Sa'ida, she will throw a stone on the Imam, and that will lead to the shahadat. And we explained the philosophy of this, that none of us ma'sumeen leave this world except that we are either poisoned or killed by the sword. And so the Imam alayhi salam, his shahadat will occur. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam will give him the ghusl, will give him the kafan, and then will bury him in his grave in Karbala. So we left the discussion at that point last week. Now, what is something that is extremely important to understand about this is that the Raj'ah has two stages. There is what we would term as Raj'at khas, a Raj'ah of the a specific type of Raj'ah, and then Raj'at am, a common Raj'ah, a general Raj'ah that's more all-encompassing in nature. And we're going to go through a couple of narrations that discuss both of these specific and general Raj'ah. Those that are interested, these narrations, there is a vast majority of them in a book called Mukhtasar Basair al-Darajat. Now, Basair al-Darajat, there are two ones. One is the one that is attributed to Ash'ari Qummi, which we don't have the original manuscript for. And then there is a second Basair al-Darajat that is of As-Safar. This Mukhtasar al-Basair is written by Muhammad ibn Sulaiman al-Hilli. And this is a condensed or abridged version of Basair al-Darajat. In there, so the narrations that I'm about to give you are, the majority of them are from Basair al-Darajat, Mukhtasar of Basair al-Darajat, and you can go and look there. And as we go through the coming weeks, because believe it or not, there's more to discuss about the Raj'ah, we will unlock some more aspects of the Raj'ah that are there. So the Raj'ah is of two types. There is the Raj'ah of a general return, and then the Raj'ah of a very specific return. The specific Raj'ah will occur prior to the general Raj'ah. And this specific Raj'ah is what we mentioned in the first seminar 2 weeks ago, when we said that the sixth Imam has a narration where he says, لا يرجع إلا من محضل الإيمان محضا أو محض الكفر محضا, that only the best of the best will return, meaning none will return except those that have the most sincere of faith and those that have the worst of disbelief. So the best of the best and the worst of the worst are the ones that shall return. However, that is about the specific Raj'ah. Now this general Raj'ah, the criterion is much wider. So the specific is that the best of the best, the worst of the worst. But with the general, the criterion is wider, and more people will return in this generalized Raj'ah. It would appear from the narrations that it is possible that everyone will return in the generalized Raj'ah. So every Nabi from the start of time, and every mu'min and every kafir that will return as well. Now, to the extent that even in the generalized Raj'ah, we have this narration from Muhammad ibn Hassan in Abil Khattab from Safwan ibn Yahya, that he narrates, from Abdul Rahman ibn Qasim, that he narrates from Imam al-Sadiq. So he says, عن أبي جعفر عليه السلام قال قرأ هذه الآية. The Imam alayhi salam, he recited this ayah, إن الله اشترى من المؤمنين أنفسهم أموالهم. Says this ayah of Surah Tawbah, verse number 111. Indeed, Allah has purchased from the believers their soul and their wealth. And the Imam alayhi salam, he says to this individual that is there, هل تدري ما يعني? Says, do you know whom it refers to? These individuals that Allah has purchased their souls and their wealth. And then this narrator, he says that I said to the Imam that يُقَاتِلُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ فَيَقْتُلُونَ وَيُقْتَلُونَ. Says that it refers to the believers fighting, so they killed and they are killed. The Imam alayhi salam, he says, La. He says, no, this is not true. Now listen to what the Imam says. This is extremely interesting. He says, وَلَكِنْ مَنْ قُتِلَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رد حتى يموت ومن مات رد حتى يقتل. Says no. What this is about is that whoever amongst them believers was killed shall return so that he may die a natural death. And whoever from the believers died a natural death shall return so that they may be killed by the sword. Meaning that they may attain shahadat. The period of Raj'a, if you remember last week, I said it is so that an individual can reach his kamal, that the mu'min can reach his kamal. And the hadd kamal of the mu'min is that he must taste both of these. One, that he can live a full and fruitful life and reach the end of his natural life. And then the other, that he can also taste or drink from the cup of shahadat as well. So the Imam says, "Man mata rudda hatta yuqtal." Whoever died will be returned until he is killed. وَذَلِكَ الْقَدْرُ الَّذِي لَا يُنْكَرُهَا. Says, and this is the decree which cannot be denied. So, the two types of raj'ah. One is a specific type, one is a generalized type, which is much open, much more vaster. Many more people come back. In the specific raj'ah, this period is considerably long, in that every imam shall return, and each one by one, they will all return one by one. And with each of them that return, the best of the best and the worst of the worst. So this hadith from Fudayl ibn Yasar, from again Abi Ja'far, from Imam al-Baqir, he says, في قوله تعالى, that the Imam was explaining, يوم ندعو كل أناس بإمامهم, that on that day, every nation or every people will be called by their Imam. And then he turns around and then he says, this is about the Raj'ah. He says, يجيء رسول الله عليه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله في قومه. Says the messenger of Allah will come with his people. وعلي عليه السلام في قومه. And when Ali alayhi salam returns, he will return with his people. And we'll look next week or whenever we have the next seminar, hopefully next week, we'll look at the return of Amir al-Mu'mineen, because it's not just one return. Amir al-Mu'mineen returns at least 2 or 3 times. He has 2 or 3 raj'ah, much like the Holy Prophet, as we will explain. He'll return, but at one point of the return of Amir al-Mu'mineen is mention of the return of Muawiyah and Ali Muawiyah and all of those that stood against Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin, and Ali alayhi salam and all his companions that were with him in Siffin will come and they will fight and they will reach the end of Siffin, meaning they will kill Muawiyah and all of his followers in this. So both the good and the bad. With the Holy Prophet, there's a narration, the Holy Prophet is speaking to the Quraysh, and they begin to say a few things behind the back of the Holy Prophet, and he comes and he delivers a sermon and he says to them, do you not think that there will be a time where you will be brought back, and I will be there as well, and I will bring you all back and punish you for what you are saying. So referring to that, the Raj'ah. وعلي عليه السلام في قومه, and Ali alayhi salam with his people, والحسن في قومه, and Hassan alayhi salam with his people, and Hussein alayhi salam في قومه, and Hussein alayhi salam with his people. وكل من مات بين ظهران قوم جاءوا معه, and everyone who died among a people will come along with them. Every Imam, the Imam says, this isn't about Yawm al-Qiyamah, that we will summon each group with their Imam, and that your hisab and your kitab is with your Imam. No, he says this is about the Raj'ah. When your Imam returns, when he returns, he will call the best of the best and the worst of the worst, and they will be rewarded, they will live their life, or then they will be judged. And amongst these specific people that will return are those kuffar. These kuffar that will come back to face either their punishment, and we'll come to the discussion on, someone asked last week as well, that is it possible for the kuffar to reform themselves? So someone who was part of that mahd al-kufr, mahda, was the peak of disbelief and of wrong, can they rectify themselves in the raj'ah? Is there a chance for them to change? And also the mu'min who comes back in the raj'ah, is there a chance that they could mess up and go even further, or go away from the deen and end up in the punishment? But we'll come to that discussion in a short while. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, talking about the return of the enemies and the punishment of them, he says, كل قرية أهلك الله أهلها بالعذاب لا يرجعون في رجعة. Says every town whose people Allah destroyed with punishment will not return in the raj'ah. Now this is going back to a particular ayah in the Holy Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, if I can find the ayah, yes, it says وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. That it is forbidden for a town, for a people of a town that have been destroyed by the adhab of Allah, that they shall not return. Meaning, if they have faced the adhab of Allah, they will not come back in the raj'ah. This is, sorry, it's ayah 95 of Surah Al-Anbiya. So, says that it is not for, so the Imam says that every town whose people Allah destroyed with punishment will not return in the raj'ah. فَهَذِهِ الْآيَةُ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ الدَّلَالَةِ فِي الرَّجْعَةِ. Says, and this is the greatest evidence for the raj'ah. لأن أحدا من أهل الإسلام لا ينكر أن الناس كلهم يرجعون إلى القيامة. Says that because no one from the people of Islam denies that all people will return on the day of judgment. Nobody denies it. من هلك ومن لم يهلك, whether they were destroyed or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying لا يرجعون في الرجعة, they will not return. This لا يرجعون in this ayah means that they will not return in the raj'ah. فَأَمَّا إِلَى الْقِيَامَةِ يَرْجِعُونَ. But when it comes for يوم القيامة, they will return. They will return in Qiyamah, on the day of Qiyamah, حَتَّى يَدْخُلُوا النَّارِ, until they are entered into the fire of hell. So this first evidence, that this ayah of Surah Al-Anbiya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى, that we have made it haram, that the people, the previous nations that were destroyed with the adhab of Allah, be it the nation of Nuh, be it the nation of Lut, be it the nation of Shu'aib, those that were destroyed previously by the adhab of Allah, they cannot come back in the raj'ah. They won't be brought back because their adhab has already happened and they are waiting for the eternal adhab in the akhirah. In another narration from Hamad ibn Isa, from again Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says that Imam asked me, said that Hamad, tell me, ما يقول الناس في هذه الآية ويوم نحشر من كل أمة فوجا, that and on that day, on the day we shall gather from every nation a group. It says, what do the people say about it? قلت, I said to him, يقولون إنها في القيامة. They say it refers to the day of judgment. The Imam replied, ليس كما يقولون. It is not as they say. إن ذلك في الرجعة. This is about the raj'ah. This is about the return. أيحشر الله في القيامة من كل أمة فوج ويدعو الباقين. Says, would Allah gather on the day of judgment only a group from every nation? Because here the ayah is saying Allah will gather a group, fawjun, from every nation. So the Imam is saying that is it possible that on Yawm al-Qiyamah Allah is only going to gather a group of people from every nation and then just leave the rest? إنما آية القيامة. This in fact is not about that. He says rather the verse of the Day of Judgment is Allah saying وَحَشَرْنَاهُمْ فَلَمْ نُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. We will gather them all and not a single one of them will be left behind. All of them will be gathered. And then he goes back to this other ayah and he's saying وَحَرَامٌ عَلَىٰ قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. And it is forbidden for a town which we destroyed that they shall not return. The Imam alayhi salam, he says that كُلُّ قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكَ اللَّهُ أَهْلُهُ بِالْعَذَابِ. Those, every town whose people Allah destroyed with punishment and were purely disbelievers will not return in the Raj'ah. وَأَمَّا فِي الْقِيَامَةِ فَيَرْجِعُونَ. But on Yawm al-Qiyamah they will come back. أَمَّا غَيْرُهُمْ مِمَّنْ لَمْ يَهْلَكُوا بِالْعَذَابِ. And as for those who are not killed or destroyed by punishment, وَمَحْضُ الْإِيمَانَ مَحْضًا أو مَحْضُ الْكُفْرَ مَحْضًا يَرْجِعُونَ. Says and who were purely disbelievers or purely believers, they will all return in the Raj'ah. So again we have this Quranic evidence where the mukhalifin may say that these are about Qiyamah, but they just logically they don't make any sense. Why is Allah only saying some groups will be brought back? Why is Allah saying it is haram upon those that have been given adhab that they should be brought back? It doesn't make sense. It can't be about Qiyamati Kubra. It can't be about the greater Qiyamah. So that's that specific Raj'ah that we have. That certain groups will be brought back alongside every Imam. So far making sense? Clear? Or clear as mud? Yeah, clear, okay, fine. So every group will be brought back specifically. Then there is a general Raj'ah. It seems that, not that it seems, it is the case that the general Raj'ah is associated with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That it is associated with the wujud of the Holy Prophet. And the Holy Prophet himself, from what we see in narrations, has 3 Raj'ah himself. The first Raj'ah is the Raj'at khas, which I mentioned, the specific Raj'ah, which he will return and the people of his time as well as the enemies of his time. So the best of the best and the worst of the worst will return, and there will be the punishment and there will be reward of those people. Now, one question that does arise is, let's say the Imam, 12th Imam, his Shahadat occurs. Now the Raj'ah of Imam al-Hussein happens and his people come back with him, and then the enemies also come back. Does that mean that everyone that was alive before is gone as well? They're all dead? No. You carry on living through these various periods of Raj'ah until your own natural death comes. So it may well be that you could overlap if you are one of those specific people in the Raj'ah of the, let's say for example in the Raj'ah of the 12th Imam, that you are one of those people that sees the whole reign of the 12th Imam, sees the return of Imam al-Hussein, and then sees part of the reign of Imam al-Hussein, and then you sort of pass away from old age. Or maybe you'll live even longer than that. Who knows what the technology will be like at the time. So it is possible that you could live through different periods of the Raj'ah of the different Imams alayhimus salam. So anyhow, the first Raj'ah of the Holy Prophet is that very specific one that I have already gone and explained. The second Raj'ah is the Raj'at Am. The first one, what we could seem to decipher from the ahadith, from the riwayat, is that the first Raj'ah Raj'at Raj'at, the Raj'ah of everyone, is what seems specific for Ahl al-Ard, the people of the earth. And this is the Raj'ah that a lot of people will be brought back in it, and there is sort of no constraints on it as the best of the best or the worst of the worst, but rather there is a general return of the people, but that is only for the earth. Then the second Raj'ah that seems to be mentioned is the Raj'ah which is mentioned as being the rule of the Prophet for 50,000 years upon the earth. And here in this 50,000 year period, there is a unification, not just of Ahlul Ard, but the narrations say he will rule over the dunya, meaning the mulk itself, the whole kingdom itself. A unification of the seven heavens with the earth, the material realm with the semi-material realm, at least until the fourth heaven. Because after the fourth heaven, then we enter into, those are like the more divine realms. But it would indicate that in the last phase of the 50,000 year rule of the Prophet, there is an ability that the human beings will have had, the mu'mineen will have, to reach even Sidratul Muntaha. They will have some knowledge or some technology that will enable, and they'll be able to transverse through the heavens. So let's just look at some of these narrations that are brought in by Al-Hilli in Mukhtasar al-Basair. From Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, says that he was once asked, وَقَدْ سُئِلَ عَنِ الْيَوْمِ الَّذِي كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ خَمْسِينَ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ, that he was asked about the day in the Holy Quran where it says, and that day its measure shall be 50,000 years. So he was asked about this. The Imam replies, هي قرة رسول الله. And if you remember that I said that the word karra is used also for raja'ah. It means return. It says, it is the raja'ah of the Messenger of Allah. فيكون ملكه في قرته 50,000 سنة ويملك أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام في قرته 44,000 سنة. Says that, and so it is the return of the Messenger of Allah, so his rule during his return will be 50,000 years. And the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen, will also return. So this is one of the raj'ah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. This narration is longer, but inshallah we'll look at it next week more when it comes specifically to about Amir al-Mu'mineen. Anyhow, he says, and the commander of the faithful will rule during his return for 44,000 years. This final 50,000 year rule of the Holy Prophet is what joins with Qiyamat al-Kubra, is what joins with Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the end of that reign will signal the beginning of Qiyamah. So Yawm al-Qiyamah is still really far away. We have to go through all of the raj'at, the specific raj'at, and then after that, then go through the general raj'at, one of which is 50,000 years long. And so the Holy Prophet is, although he is the trigger of that raj'ah, during this time, it is said that Amir al-Mu'mineen will be the hakim, as in like he'll be appointed by the Holy Prophet to rule, and his rule will be 44,000 years upon the earth. Another one that talks about the return of the Holy Prophet, but in reality the return of Amir al-Mu'mineen, but then the Imam mentions the return of the Holy Prophet. He says, ثُمَّ قَرَّةٌ أُخْرَى مَعَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ, the second or another return of Ali alayhi salam, because at the start of this narration he talks about the first raj'ah of Imam Ali, which we'll look at next week. It says, ثُمَّ قَرَّةٌ أُخْرَى مَعَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. There will be another return along with the Messenger of Allah, حَتَّى يَكُونَ خَلِيفَةً فِي الْأَرْضِ, until he becomes the Khalifa upon the earth. وَتَكُونُ الْأَئِمَّةُ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامُ عُمَّالُهُ, and the Imams alayhim salam, the A'imma, will become his governors over the earth. That Amir al-Mu'mineen will be the Hakim. It seems that at the end of this period, and then the Hakim of Qiyamah Kubra is Rasulullah, but the Hakim of this 50,000 year rule of this Raj'at Am is Amir al-Mu'mineen. And the Imams alayhim salam will be his governors across the earth. حَتَّى يَعْبَدُ اللَّهُ عَلَانِيَّةً فَتَكُونُ عِبَادَتُهُ عَلَانِيَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَمَا عُبِدَ اللَّهُ سِرًّا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And they will rule and they will be his governors, and until Allah is worshipped openly, so that his worship becomes manifest on the earth, just as he was worshipped secretly on the earth. So now it will be open, people will openly worship him, whereas people prior may have secretly worshipped him. Then he said, the Imam says, Ay wallah ad'afa dhalik. Says, by Allah, it's multiples of, it's much more than this. I can't tell you, there's much more than this. ثم أقد بيده أضعافا, and then he gestured with his hand, indicating there's much more. There's so much more that I can't tell you. One, because it gets a point where now the aql is unable to comprehend, and so now you have to go into the realm of your aql wilai, like into the understanding the role of the hujjah of Allah, and then you could take that leap, as it were. And so then he carries on, he says, يُعْتِ اللَّهُ نَبِيَّهُ مُلْكَ جَمِيعَ أَهْلِ الدُّنْيَا مُنْذُ يَوْمٍ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَى يَوْمِ يُفْنِيهَا. Says that, and Allah will grant his Prophet the dominion over the dunya. So now this is everything, from top to bottom, from heavens to everything. His dominion, he will rule over them. From the day he created it until the day he brings it to an end. حتى ينجز له موعده في كتابه كما قال, until he fulfills for him his promise that he made in the book, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes in the book, وَيُظْهِرُهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ. That, and Allah will make Islam, this religion, prevail over everything, over all religion, even if the mushriks dislike it. So he says, this is that rule of the Prophet, that he will establish true Islam at that point. In another narration, when talking about this general rule of the Holy Prophet, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he explains the tafsir of certain ayat. He says that في قول الله عز وجل, and in the saying of Allah عز وجل, يا أيها المدثر قم فانذر, says, O you mudaththir, the one that has wrapped himself, arise and warn. يعني بذلك محمدا وقيامه في الرجعة ينظر فيها. This refers to the Holy Prophet and his qiyam and his rising and establishment of the government in the raj'ah, in which he will warn the people in this raj'at am. وفي قوله إنها لإحدى الكبر نذيرا للبشر. And in what Allah says in the Holy Quran, that indeed it is one of the greatest signs, a warning to mankind. The Imam says, يعني محمدا نذيرا للبشر في الرجعة, that the Prophet of Allah is a warner to humanity in the raj'ah. وفي قوله وما أرسلناك إلا كافة للناس, and we did not send you except to all of mankind. He says this is in reference to raj'ah, to all of mankind. Meaning there is a time where everyone will be brought and they will see the rule of the Prophet and they will see what it means for him to be rahmatan lil alameen. That every single one of us, me, you, everyone, the best of the best, the worst of the worst, they will all come back. And they will view the rule of the Prophet over this world, with Amir al-Mu'mineen being his appointed Hakim, and then the A'imma alayhimus salam being his governors over the earth. So a question that I posed before, and that was that those disbelievers who returned, can they change and become good? Technically, yes, they can. However, there's a really important point, and now this also applies to us, and it's a very scary point as well. See, those that were drowned in certain sins in this world, and they die as a result, they die while that sin is on them. For example, let's go with the worst of the worst. It says those who are drowned in this dunya, in their dhulm, in their oppressive nature, they will have the chance, but they won't, because what happens is you don't return pure and purified. When you return with all of the spiritual diseases that you have in you right now. You will return as you are right now. Don't think that when you return there'll be a magical wand and all of a sudden you're going to get cured, and all of a sudden you're going to start praying and you're going to start fasting and you're going to start doing all the wajibat. No, you're going to return as you are right now in that raj'ah. So those that are the dhalimeen, they will also return in that state. But because that sin has become part of their nature, part of their essence, they're not going to be able to change. They can't help it but do the sin. They can't help it but mess up. We have narrations that people will come and talk to them and say, but why are you messing up? You saw death. You saw the questioning of Munkar and Nakir. You saw Fishar Qabr. You saw the Barzakh. You saw all of this. They'll say, no, it was just a dream. I didn't see anything. Some of them will say that. It was just a dream. I didn't know. It was a bad dream I had. This is real. I'm alive. I'm still good. Whereas others will say, well, you know what? Actually, what I was doing must have been good because God brought me back. And so they will double down in their arrogance. And they'll say, well, it was because God made me one of his chosen people. He brought me back. One thing, and they're the worst of the worst. But the one thing for us to note is that this also applies to the believers. That whatever fault you have in you right now, spiritually, whichever disease you have, whichever wajibat you are not following, whichever part of the religion you are taking lackadaisically or are not following it, if you die in this state without having made that change in you, you will be brought back in the raj'ah in this state with a very difficult task ahead of you that you won't be able to change it. We might all pay lip service right now. Oh, if the Imam is there, I won't listen to music. Or if the Imam is there, of course I'm going to wear hijab. If the Imam is... No, if you can't do it right now, your Imam is here now. If you can't do it now, you're not going to be able to do it in the raj'ah. And when you can't do it in the raj'ah, in the raj'ah, the sin, the kufr of a person is accelerated tenfold. What your good is not as because haqq and batil are so plain. You can see what haqq is. You can see that this is the truth. And so if you insist on doing a sin in that time because you didn't change your habits in this time, over there you are brought back. That one sin is amplified tenfold, 20-fold, and it is there. So the question arises, then why is it that Allah brought us back if it's to make a sin? Because in this dunya He let you off. What does Sayyidah Zainab say to Yazid? that do not let those that sin, that do sins, think that God has chosen them and He is extending their life because they're doing something good. No, He is doing it so that they may increase in the sin and accumulate more sin so that He can punish them more. But if in this world I wasn't punished for the sin of not praying, for the sin of not fasting, for the sin of not paying my khums, for the sin of not observing hijab, for the sin of listening to music, I wasn't punished for it here. It's delayed to the Raj'ah, so that the sinner can be humiliated in the dunya where he committed the sins. And so in reality, this dunya, this life that we are living, is a preparation for the general Raj'ah, when you will come. If you cannot change your life here, you cannot follow the edicts of the religion here, you will not be able to follow them in the presence of the Hujjah in the Raj'ah. It's as simple as that. The narrations are so very clear about it, that in the Raj'ah, every sin is amplified multiple times. Every sin will take you into kufr. Why? Because the truth was there. You saw the truth, but you rejected the truth. You were too weak in the dunya, so you'll be too weak in the akhirah. You'll be too weak in the Raj'ah. And then from the Raj'ah, when that adhab comes, and those books are sealed, then it's straight to hell after that. The Raj'ah, this world is a preparation for your Raj'ah. For that Raj'at Am of the Holy Prophet. That is the Dawlatan Karima. If I can't change myself here, then I won't be able to face life in the Raj'ah. So I can recite and raise my hands, and sometimes my dua might work against me. That when I say, Ya Allah, that in hala bayni, in daya ahad, where I say, if death comes upon me in this state, this is a reality that must come to all of your servants. فَأَخْرِجْنِي مِنْ قَبْرِ, then take me out from my grave when my Imam comes, so I could be by their side. But the thing is that if I'm taken out from my grave in that Raj'at Am, and I haven't corrected these problems in myself, then these very things will be the reason for my sealing the deal as being a sinner, as being a kafir, as being one that will end up ultimately in hell. So it's very important that whatever I do, I need to change it now. Now, not tomorrow. I need to make the intention now, so that in the Raj'ah, I'm not struggling. I'm not walking that tightrope. So this is, I think this is, probably we'll leave it at this point, because there is some of the precursors to all of the narrations, especially in this chapter. Muhammad ibn Salman al-Hilli, he says, along with these ahadith, he also brings the hadith of the characteristics of the time of the Dajjal. And it's important to note it because the time of the Dajjal is the time of great misguidance. And many people will be lost within this period. And then their death comes, and then, when it gets to that general Raj'ah, then they're struggling. In one of the sittings of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Asbaq ibn Nubata, actually it starts with Sa'sat bin Sawhan. He asks Amir al-Mu'mineen regarding the Dajjal. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen asks him, and then Asbaq ibn Nubata, so these are the very close companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And then Asbaq, he says that, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, says, what are the signs of the time of the Dajjal? And this is because someone asked last week, I'm sure, about the Dajjal, which prompted me to bring this. That when you look at this, you realize that actually Dajjal is not a physical being. Rather, it's a ideology, it's a culture, it's a way. So Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "Ihfadh," says, memorize what I'm about to tell you. فَإِنَّ عَلَامَةَ ذَلِكَ إِذَا أَمَاتَ النَّاسِ صَلَاةً, says, for amongst the signs of this, for its signs are, of the time of the Dajjal, is the first thing is that the people will abandon salah, they will not pray, or they will be iffy with their prayers. 2, وَأَضَاعُوا الْأَمَانَةَ, they will betray the trust. وَاسْتَحَلُّوا الْكَذِبَ, and they will consider lying as being lawful. They will make lying halal. They will just consider it to be okay, it's fine. I was just joking, I was whatever. وَأَكِلُوا الرَّبَا, and they will consume interest or usury. وَأَخَذُوا الرُّشَا, and they will take bribes. وَشَيِّدُوا الْبُنْيَانِ, and they will build big, lofty, tall buildings. وَبَاعُوا الدَّيْنِ بِالدُّنْيَا, and they will sell the religion for worldly gain. وَاسْتَعْمَلُوا السُّفَهَاءِ, and they will appoint the foolish to authority. You're living it. وَشَاوَرُوا النِّسَاءِ, and they will consult women inappropriately in the context of ضعف القيادة. وَقَطَعُوا الْأَرْحَامِ, and they will sever family ties. وَاتَّبَعُوا الْأَهْوَاءِ, and they will follow their desires. وَاسْتَخَفُّوا بِالدَّمَاءِ, and they will treat bloodshed lightly. Spilling blood is not going to be anything. وَكَانَ حِلْمُ الضَّعْفَ, forbearance will be seen as a weakness. وَالظُّلْمُ فَخْرًا, and the more oppressive they can become, it will be seen as a source of pride. وَكَانَتِ الْأُمَرَاءُ فَجَرًا, and their rulers will be immoral. وَالْوُزَرَاءُ ظَلَمًا, and their ministers oppressive. وَالْعُرَفَاءُ خَوَّنًا, and the officials will be treacherous. وَقُرَّاءُ فَسَقًا, and the reciters of Quran will be corrupt. You're living it. 2 days ago you heard what he said. وَظَهَرَتْ شَهَادَةُ الزُّورِ, and false testimony will become widespread. وَاسْتُعْمِلَ الْفُجُورِ, and immorality will be practiced openly. وَقَوْلُ الْبُهْتَانِ وَالْإِثْمِ وَالطُّغْيَانِ, and along with slander, sin and transgression. وَهُلِيَتِ الْمَصَاحِفِ, and the Qur'ans will be adorned. In the time of the Dajjal, Qur'ans will be adorned. We all buy, it's one of the best, lovely Qur'an. You know, we get married and what we do? We gift a beautiful Qur'an, we put it on a rail, we have it there, it's a really expensive Qur'an, and we gift it to the bride, never to be read again, but just to be there as a decoration. The Qur'an will be adorned. وَزُخْرَفَتِ الْمَسَاجِدِ, the masajid will be adorned, the masajid will be decorated, they'll be beautiful. وَطُوَّلَتِ الْمَنَائِرِ, and the minarets will be tall and they'll be high. But the wicked will be honored, and rows will be orderly, but hearts will be divided. They'll all stand together in namaz-e-jamaat. They'll stand shoulder to shoulder, but in their hearts they'll hate the person next to them. They'll have hatred towards that person. وَتَنَاكَذَتِ الْعُهُودِ, and covenants will be broken. وَاقْتَرَبَ الْوَعِيدِ, and punishments will draw near to them. وَشَارَقَتَ النِّسَاءُ أَزْوَاجُهُنَّ فِي تِجَارَةٍ حِرْصًا عَلَى الدُّنْيَا, and women will partner with their husbands in trade out of worldly greed. وَعَلَّتْ أَصْوَاتُ الْفُسَاقِ and the voices of the sinful will rise. وَكَانَ زَعِيمُ الْقَوْمِ أَرْذَلَهُمْ, and the leader of a people will be the most despicable amongst them. Has to be the most corrupt person to lead. وَاتُّقِيَ الْفَاجِرُ مَخَافَةِ شَرَّهُ, and the wicked will be feared because of their harm, and the liar will be believed, and the traitor will be trusted. وَاتَّخَذَتِ الْقِيَانِ وَالْمَعَاذِفِ, singing girls and musical instruments will be embraced. They will love musical instruments. They will love to hear the voice of singing women. وَلَعْنَ آخِرُ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ أَوَّلَهَا, and the latter of this ummah will curse the former, will curse those before them. وَرَكَبَتِ النِّسَاءُ صُرُوجِ, and the women will mount saddles. And by this it means that take roles that are traditionally reserved, for example, for men, like, I don't know, going to jihad in the army or something like that. You know, women have special dispensation. They don't go to war. وَتَشَبَّهَتِ النِّسَاءُ بِالرِّجَالِ وَالرِّجَالُ بِالنِّسَاءِ, women will imitate men and men will imitate women. وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِّنْ غَيْرِ أَنْ يُسْتَشْهَدَ, and a witness will testify without being asked. And another will testify for an imam بِغَيْرِ علم, without knowledge. وَتَفَقَّهَ فِي الدَّيْنِ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ, and the religion will be studied for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I study the religion so I can give you good lectures. Where is my niyyah? It's not qurbatan ila Allah. I'm studying the religion so you can go, wow, that was a good lecture. So I can have your praise, not qurbatan ila Allah. وَتُؤَوَّلَتِ الدُّنْيَا عَلَىٰ أَعْمَالِ الْآخِرَةِ, and the worldly actions will be given priority over the deeds of the akhirah. وَلَبِسُوا جُلُودَ الْحِمْلَانِ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِ الذَّآبِ, says they will wear the skins of sheep over the hearts of wolves. They will pretend to be sheep, but they're wolves. وَقُلُوبُهُمْ أَنْتَنُوا مِنَ الْجَيْفَةِ وَأَمُرُّوا مِنَ الصَّبْرِ, their hearts will be more rotten than carrion, than rotting like a dead body, rotting dead body, and more bitter than sabr, than aloe. فَعِنْدَ ذَلِكَ, and at that time, الْوَجَى الْعَجَلَ الْعَجَلَ, salvation, salvation, haste, haste. خير المساكين يومئذ ساكنوا بيت المقدس, says the best of the poor at that time will be those that are residing in Baytul Maqdis. لَيَأْتِيَنَّ عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٌ يَتَمَنَّى أَحَدُهُمْ أَنَّهُ مِنْ سُكَّانِهِ, and a time will come upon the people when one of them will wish that he were amongst its residents, the residents of Baytul Maqdis. Two ways that one can take it. Times will be so bad that they wish that they were in the amongst the poor of Baytul Maqdis, or that they themselves, are hoping to be in the precincts of that holy site. So these are the things that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says about the Dajjal. Now you can look around at yourself and look at the times within which you live, and you can decide whether or not you live in the times of the Dajjal or not. And if we are, then that zuhur is much closer than we think. That desire to change must be very strong within us. There has to be this drive. There has to be this courage and this weakness. Saying Ya Ali in the four walls of a masjid is one thing, but to show that I am a lover of Ali outside, in my speech, in my akhlaq, in my dress code, in everything that I do, that's a whole different matter. Ali alayhi salam doesn't want those who said Ya Ali in four walls. He wants those who are outside and they are showing that they are the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, inshaAllah. If you have any questions, we can take them. Yes.